Our Host Environment and Energy Committee will call our meeting to order to continue S100 discussion on its version draft 5. Point, I don't know, I haven't looked yet. 1. Posted under Ellen's name and today's date. And hard copies are on their way.
Ellen Czarkowski, Office of Legislative Counsel. Yes, now we have draft 5.1. The changes are highlighted in yellow. There are only a handful of them. So on page 1, section 1, the parking section, 2 small changes in here, and they match the language that's in section 20. So just for consistency, even within the zone section, I changed it to sewer and water instead of water and sewer. And then it says rounded up.
Yes, that's what we wanted done. I think water and sewer is something I'm usually, anyway. How is it throughout the bill then? Because we say it.
Sewer and water throughout.
You got one?
So the next change,
5.1. No. This tree is no longer, is it? 4.3.
That's true.
The whole tree there. That's an old one. Yeah, please, thank you.
all right, so the next change is on page 32, is the new language. So there is a new section 18A, which, we're running out of section numbers in this bill. So section 18A is the new delegation language. So, yes. So at the bottom of page 32, Act 250 municipal delegation. The Vermont Association of Planning and Development Agencies, in consultation with the Natural Resources Board, shall develop a proposed framework for delegating administration of Act 250 permits to municipalities. They shall consult with other relevant stakeholders, including those with experience in issuing Act 250 permits under Chapter 151. On or before December 31st, 2023, the Vermont Association of Planning and Development Agencies shall report to the House Committee on Environment and Energy and the Senate Committee on Natural Resources and Energy on legislative changes necessary to delegate Act 250 permit administration to municipalities. So I'm still sort of new to this concept. So the framing of it as delegating, I think the framework of delegating administration of Act 250 permits to municipalities is what you're trying to do. But I did want to check. And then also, you didn't really list any stakeholders. So you can add them if you'd like to add to that.
Very open-ended.
Yes, well, I did go back and rewatch, and there wasn't that much detail. So let me know if you want to add anything else.
Representative Stebbins.
Thanks, Martha. I have heard suggestions that more simplistic language is more helpful. I can also imagine where it would be helpful to say municipalities, environmental entity, whomever is typically involved in these processes. And I guess I would look, still have Catherine in the room. We also have Longarts, who's been discussing Act 250 for a year and a half, as well as you with your experience. I don't.
Yeah, I've actually been. Yeah, I've been doing it for 5 years, so thanks for that. But, yeah, I mean, it's very open-ended. I think that being more specific would add direction and help them understand and meet our needs better. So I think listing who we would expect to be involved in it would be helpful. Certainly we want, I think it's a good start, experience issuing Act 250 permits. You know, there's, I think, environmental organizations, certainly.
And other relevant stakeholders, or is that too broad?
We'd add that at the end of our list.
It does start with that.
Yep. Relevant stakeholders, right? Representative Hogan.
Thanks. Megan Tuttle sent over, next draft of language last week, and at the very end, name stakeholders, so BAPTA, of course, VNRC, and municipal planning and zoning officials. And other relevant stakeholders.
Yeah, we don't usually name groups so specifically, so I said environmental organizations. There are others who hopefully will be interested.
Mm-hmm.
It's Chris Cochran.
Just maybe generic state agencies, because they. Not my agency.
There's a list for you.
You want to specify any public hearings?
Yes, we do actually. That was the next spot. So how would we want the public engaged in this process? We look to other processes that we've stood up in the past, and what does it say for the natural resources? Representative Scalia.
So they're coming back to us with a report on their progress. The changes, oh no, they're not. This actually says, come back and tell us what the changes are.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Catherine, please.
If I may suggest, having one public hearing in each of the regions, I think would be a reasonable request as part of this, and that would be 11 statewide.
Yep. Thank you. That's a good suggestion. Representative Bongard.
I would suggest we might want to make the language parallel because they are developing a framework in A, and then B would be to report that framework to these committees.
Yeah.
It's that language, just make it framework and framework.
Yes.
That's a lot of public hearings,
Yeah.
which is fine, great.
I think it's really important.
Yeah.
Since they're all different. Yeah. That is great.
Yeah.
People
Feel about
cursing
that now.
Catherine right now.
Yeah.
Too late.
It's a lot of hearings, but it's only, each regional commission will only have to do one. So
Right.
It's not.
Should we, is there a lead agency or organization that should be responsible for this? It's very vague. And
Well, so
VAPTA-
I went with VAPTA.
I know, but who's that?
VAPTA is,
No, I'm not asking you. I'm saying like person who is VAPTA.
APTA is the Association of the Regional Planning Commissions, and we usually elect a chair every year. Right now, that's me for Northwest. So it's a collection of RPC directors
I know. So would you anticipate that you're the lead on this?
I know that Chittenden RPC has volunteered to be the lead regional planning commission.
Which may be something we want to think about also. I mean, that's great. They're not necessarily totally representative of the state.
I think if you leave it as VAPTA, that allows us to use the different strengths of the different RPCs to really put together a process that will be successful.
And I thought it was a little more definite than saying the planning commissions or the regional planning commissions, because it is an umbrella agency that has all of them as members. But you can make a different choice.
Okay. All right. Other thoughts? Thank you for that, Ellen.
So then on page 35, the language in section 20, the covenant language matches section 1. And then I think the only other change is in the effective dates, which was breaking the definition section, section 4, from having that later effective date and going back to July 1, 2023 for section 4.
Okay, do members have questions? Representative Logan.
Thank you. I'm probably just tired, but it does seem to me that we say that section 2, subdivision 1D will take effect on both December 1st, 2024 and July 1st, 2023 in line 18 and line 20.
So that's why, it's framed that way to be extra clear. So it says the act takes effect on July 1. So that's every section, except that section 1, 2, except for subdivision 1D and 3 take effect on December 1, 2024. So I will say that I have had a conversation with the editors and they don't love how I frame this. However, there potentially is another amendment. And so I'll put that to the side for a second. Structuring the dates like this is common. The other way to do it is to list out the individual section numbers. So because it's only 3 1/4 sections we're talking about, there isn't really I can go back and ask for additional conversations with the editors, but they're the ones who initially flagged that there should be a clear statement. So
I find it cumbersome and we're familiar with the sections. So kind of anything that would make it more straightforward, I think would be appreciated.
So what's going to happen is when the act passes in the statute, there will be above subsection D1 in the statute a flag that says this takes effect now. The other new language will be under a separate tab that will not go into effect December 1.
It would just be, I think, easier to read if it said these sections take effect July 1, 2023, and these sections take effect December 1, 2024.
So that is what it says. The problem is that D1 is in the middle of a section.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have its own section.
Yeah. Yeah, so the reader gets lost. Okay, we don't need to belabor it. As long as we're clear.
So potentially there may be an additional amendment from General Housing Committee. And I think they may be making changes to the effective dates, at which point, if there are other dates, it will go into a list format. So David and I are keeping track of the dates. The layout may change based on what housing and if Ways and Means or appropriation makes an amendment, there can be further revisions to this as well.
Okay. Other questions? Okay. You want to go make those changes real quick and then come back? I don't think we need another hard copy. We can look at it online. We do that. I think we should do that. Okay. We'll just wait for you. 10 minutes. Representative Logan.
Are we talking about adding the GMP stuff to the next draft or no?
I have concerns because Ellen needs to be finished by 2. So I'm not feeling like that's realistic. I think GMP's here for us to hear from them. Yeah, sort of 6 to 1, half dozen the other, I think. Unless someone else is seeing a path that's not gonna, yeah. I think I'd rather just close this up and then hear from GMP.
So then it would be an amendment.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be back.
Thank you.
I hope so.
10 minutes? Is that, you think, or, all right, we'll be here. Thanks. We will take a break.